Hello and welcome to the Kitchen Table Modelers Workshop. My name's Ian, this is my kitchen table where I do all my modelling. So it's been a little while since I had posted up a video, and basically life, work, family, been really busy, and I've even managed to chuck in a couple of weeks of holiday with the family away, so it's been busy but good. I'm glad to be back, and I'm also back with a new camera set up with microphone thanks to my family. Got me a really amazing birthday present which I'm so grateful for. So I thought I'd try it out and get a video together for you guys, and thought I'd do an interesting subject, something different from me. You can see over my shoulder, it's Hella's 1/24th scale Little Grey Ferguson, or Petit Gris. If you're French, I apologise if it's a really poor pronunciation, but I try my best. So yeah, now I have a soft spot for this tractor because I actually learnt to drive on one of these many years ago, and my granddad had. So when I saw it, I thought, yeah, that's a really interesting kit. And I actually bought it for my son, who really loves tractors and farming equipment, and thought, well, it's cheap, it's off eBay, give it a punt, see what like it is. So enough waffling from me, let's get the kit on the table and let's see what's inside the box. Okay, so we're on the table, and yeah, starting off with the box art, a lovely picture of the tractor in action, being driven on some rural farm somewhere in France or rural England, and you know, they were sold and built all over Europe and the world. So Hella, Ferguson Petit Gris, 1/24 scale, 128 pieces. You're looking at 110mm by 70mm, and 2 decorations provided. Now the box is a little worn, and that's purely because it's a second-hand kit off eBay, but the contents are really good. So if we look at the end, you've got a little bit of blurb, so intended for collectors and age over 14. Pictures are not binding. Plastic model kit ready to assemble, and paint recommended glue and Hella paints. So obviously they're going to sell their own stuff. You've got the address of Hella, and then on the ends we've got the same picture, 1/24, 128 pieces. And if we look on the back of the box, we've got the 2 color schemes. So you've got the overall grey, and then you've got the grey wheels, mudguards and bonnet with the red engine, gearbox and transmission. And somewhere in the box, here we go, we've got the part number, which is kit 81401. So it's a really nice top opening box, which is fantastic, but we look inside and it's a huge box, and there's not just a huge amount of stuff in it, so it does tend to rattle around a bit, but it should be okay for all that. And as I said, this is a second-hand kit, so none of the sprues are bagged, and I'm not sure if a brand new kit would have bag sprues, but anyway, we've got a nice A4 instructions. We've got 2 grey sprues of plastic, and we've got a very small decal sheet and a sprue of rubber ties. Starting with the first sprue, which comes to hand, which has the mudguards, got the front grille, bonnet top, bonnet sides. These parts here are part of the 3-point hitch, as is this and this. There's your control for your lifting control for the 3-point hitch, and there's the tow bar that goes between the 2 arms. And then you've got the jacking bar there as well. You've got some battery tops, got some lights and some small items. The Ferguson T20 was a revolutionary tractor. It was the first tractor that ever combined the 3-point hitch together on a tractor. So having this rendered in plastic is fantastic. Now we move on to the rims. So you've got the rear wheels and you've got the front wheels, you've got back plates, and then these parts here are all parts for the front axle. And there's the tie rods for the front axle, and there's your steering rods there, and other bits and pieces, probably for the spindles and such like. Now I'm no expert on tractors, but I did actually learn to drive on my granddad's old grey Ferguson, so I do know the tractor reasonably well and have a very soft spot for it. So first impressions, what am I thinking? Well, first of all, it's a beautifully moulded sprue. The parts are very clean, they're very crisp, the moulds have been polished. The bolt detail, if we look at the wheels, is very proud and sharp, so it's going to take a wash or a dry brush very well. If we look at the finer detail moulded into the front axle, again it's very sharp to the touch, very proud, very nicely moulded indeed. There's very little sign of any burring and virtually no sign of any flash, which is fantastic. Looking at the mudguards, again you've got the bolt pattern of the supports, and if you turn the mudguards over, you've got some ejector pin marks. They'll need to be taken care of. They're not huge, so it can be easily done. If you don't want to take care of them, you're really not going to see them because the wheels are going to be there, and you can also weather up or rust up the mudguards and lose them that way. But either way, it's not a huge problem, so I'm not gonna hammer hella for that. But on the reverse, you've also got the proper framing for holding the mudguards, so points gained back there. If we look at the intricate parts here, we've got the double T batteries, we've got the control arm for the raising and lowering of the 3-point hitch, all beautifully moulded, really fine detail, even down to the louvers on the front of the bonnet hood. It's really nice. And then if you can just see, I don't know if you can catch that in the light, but embossed on the front there is the badge where the Ferguson emblem goes. So first part tree, really nice. Second part tree, we move on to the more substantial parts of the kit. So we've got two halves of what is the engine, the gearbox, and then the transmission, which has the rear axle. Again, beautifully moulded. The bolt patterns are rendered really well. They're going to take a wash, they're going to pop and look fantastically detailed when the model's complete. Here we've got the instrument panel and the binnacle that holds the steering column. So you've got the two dials and the on-off switch there. You've got the choice between two exhausts. So this is the lay down exhaust, and then this one here is the upright exhaust. And again, if you look down the side where the parting line is, it's virtually non-existent. I mean, it's a brilliant moulding by Hella. Very impressed. So you've got the front pulleys and the front fan. The front fan, I don't know if you can see that in the light, but you can see there's a very fine bolt pattern where the fan blades bolt to the fan blade holder and pulley. Beautifully rendered. Can't say how much I'm impressed with this kit. It's really nice. Because this is a petrol paraffin vehicle, then you've got your distributor. Obviously you're going to need to, if you want to detail the engine, you've got the tops of the spark plugs here, you've got the distributor, so you will be able to put in your HT leads just to liven up the vehicle. There wasn't actually much wiring on an old Ferguson, so it won't take much just to add that final few touches. Moving on to the other side then, we've got the radiator, again beautifully detailed. That'll take a wash and a dry brush fantastically, and for what you see of it, which won't be very much, it'll look fantastic. Two different types of steering wheel. You've got two different types of seats as well, both of them moulded fantastically. You've got some possibly transmission or gearbox cover detail, although that may have something to do with the transmission, not sure, but the detail on it's fantastic. The old spring here for the seat, because it was a sprung seat, and believe you me, you needed it when you were driving these things because it was quite a bumpy ride. You've got the foot brakes here for the rear axle brakes, so you can independently brake either wheel to turn a tighter corner, and you've got other smaller parts. Absolutely fantastically moulded. I really am impressed. Moving on to the tyres now. One of the rear tyres has come off the sprue, which is not to worry about. Beautifully moulded cleated tyre, just as you'd expect to see in an old Ferguson. Reasonably pliable, so they should be able to go on the rims reasonably well. Looking at the construction, you should be able to paint the rims up and then glue the rims together and nipping the tyre together, and it'll be no problem at all. You've got two options for the front tyre. You've got the single ribbed original tyre, or you've got a tyre with 3 ribs on. Again, there's very little in the way of flash or moulding lines around it. You've obviously got the centres to clear out, but that's going to be covered by the rim. But the actual external of the tyre is really nice, so they're going to work in brilliantly. Decal sheet. Well, like I said, there really isn't much in the way of a decal sheet. You've got one for your ammeter, your Ferguson, and your fuel gauge. and then I assume these are headlight decals. I'm not overly sure. Two different types of Ferguson badge. You've got the black badge and the blue badge. They're slightly out of register, will be the only criticism I can say. Certainly if you look at these circle decals here, they're all out of register. How that affects the model as we go on, I don't know. Whether you need to use them or not, I don't know, but they're not brilliant, I'll say that. It's probably the one thing that's let this down so far, but maybe well usable. Okay, and then we move on to the instruction booklet. Now, really nicely presented. Beautiful colour picture of the box art in the front and the kit part number. The instructions are multilingual, so you've got them in French, British, German and whatever he is, I don't know. Apologise if I've offended anyone, but I'm no expert in languages. You've got your Hello paint call out here. Any paint will do, so long as you can get a colour match. These things were left out in the open, so they faded pretty quickly. If you're weathering them up, then you've got loads of different scope. People, farmers will have painted them their own colours, so the world's your oyster. So part one, bringing together the two halves of the engine, transmission and gearbox. Part two, we're looking like we're putting the rocker cover on, we've got the gearbox cover on, and we've got the transmission cover going on, as well as the top link for the 3-point hitch. Moving on, then we've got a part that goes over the front of the engine, and this will be the gear selector housing here going on top of the gearbox. We're moving on to making up the front axle. Then we're moving on to putting on, this will be a magneto because it's old enough to have a magneto rather than an alternator, water pump, fan assembly and radiator. Really simple construction. Okay, so now part 8, we're bringing all the front components together, and then part 9 we are moving on to more ancillaries for the actual engine area. This is the air filter by the looks of it, carburetor and air filter assembly, exhaust manifold. Has it gone off?
Yeah, it's done it again.
It's still recording. And then we've got the not quite sure about that piece there, I'm sure it'll come to us. Fuel tank, fuel filter assembly, batteries and the instrument combing. We've got the instrument binnacle coming together with the gear selector housing, and then we're moving on to the rear axle back plates for both sides. It looks like you're going to have the option of having the wheels turning if you want. Myself, I probably wouldn't build it with wheels turning. It's going to be a static model, but it looks like you've got the option. You've got the axle halves joining together, and then the axles going on to the transmission housing itself, and you're also getting the independent braking rods going on for the independent wheel braking. PTO cover, wheels going together, wheels going on. So it's an involved construction, but simple. It's simple steps, so it's not a cluttered instruction. It's very easy to follow. Right, second lot of wheels, and this is what I was talking about, the independent braking system that the Ferguson had for turning tight corners. So that goes on left and right, and then we're moving back onto the front axle, putting the kingpin assemblies together for turning the wheels and the tie rods, and then you're getting that onto the main chassis assembly. And this is what I said about this being a revolutionary tractor. The actual engine, transmission and gearbox and transmission acted as the chassis for the tractor, so everything was bolted to that. Very, very clever thinking. So you've got left side, right side, moving all together, and then we're moving on to the steering linkage. So the steering arms drop down from the bottom of the steering box, and then each side go out to the front kingpins. Front wheels, and then you've got your choice of parts. So you've got your TE20 parts, early, and then the late. So the later model will be the 3-ribbed tyre, and the early one will be the single-ribbed tyre. Got the two models of the seat, so one will have a leather cover, one's just a bare metal. And then the seat goes on, the throttle lever, the stop-start buttons, and then the different steering wheels. Then we're moving on to the actual foot pegs for the independent braking systems. This is part 48, so it's quite a lengthy build. And then on part 49, bringing that final bits together with the gear stick. This is a toolbox in part 50, attaching that in 51, and then bringing the mudguards into position for 52. 53 is bringing the bonnet into position. 54 is bringing it onto the model, and then you've got the choice between the lay down or the upright exhaust. And then finally in 56 you've got the options of your lights to put on, and that'll be where the decals will come in that we thought were, I thought they are out of register. Final part will be the 3-part hitch. So this is your adjuster rod for adjusting the level of the hitch, all the components of the hitch, and the hitch goes on the tractor, and it's finished. Got a sprue map at the back of the instructions, and then I should imagine in the end you've got the painting instructions. Yeah, so there we go. So it's saying basically Ferguson grey for the, doesn't tell you which one it is, I'm imagining this is the TE20, and then it's Ferguson red with Ferguson grey for the later model with the lay down exhaust. So there we go, that is the Petit Gris or Petit Gris, or the little grey Fergie as I would know it being British. You've got the TE20 and the FF30. So the FF30 is the red and grey, and TE20 is the grey ore. A beautiful kit. Let's get the stuff back in the box, and then we'll get back onto me and sum up. So there we are, back on me. Thoughts? Wow, really, absolutely blown away by the quality of the kit in here. If we look at it objectively, plastic, styrene that's used, really good quality, hard, hard, crisp plastic, so it carries and holds the detail really well. Looking at the detail of the quality of the molds of the kit, Heller has really knocked a cracking kit out of the market here. The bolt rendering, the detail, the overall accuracy of the kit. You know, as I said, I learned to drive in one of these, so I was quite familiar with it. Everything I can remember as a Ben is there in the box, and it's all in scale. Yeah, there's a few areas where there's ejector pin marks, you know, like on the rear of the mudguards, but if you did nothing about it, you're not going to see them because the wheels are going to be in the way. If you wanted to take care of them, it's not going to be a difficult issue. The instructions are well detailed. There's quite a few steps, but if you look at it, the steps are small individual component parts that then come together to build the model, which would make it easier for a novice builder or someone with less experience to put together and build a fantastic kit of an interesting subject. And that's the thing we've got to remember here. This is a tractor that was sold throughout the world, so there's going to be a worldwide interest in it, and quite a lot of fondness for it. And it's something completely different from the normal run-of-the-mill armor, aircraft, battleships and all that. It's an interesting subject, it's a liked subject, and it's something that I think many modelers should really look at just to give it a go. If you're in a rut or you need to perk up your mojo, as they say, something like this would really do that. There's also areas of the kit that you can add detail to. So you've got the spark plug tops and you've got the distributor caps, so there's the option there to do a bit of scratch building, put in the HT leads and lift the kit that extra bit. You can build it new out of factory, you can build it beaten up, you can, you know, make rust on it. There's so many options with this kit. It's fantastic. I really am impressed with the kit. For me, the only thing that lets down the kit a little is the quality of the decals. The printing's okay, except for the fact that it's out of register. Now, how this will affect the overall finish of the kit, I'm not overly sure, but that is the one area that lets the kit down. But overall, highly recommended from me. My son's going to build this, and I'm going to help him where he needs help, but I think he's going to really enjoy this. He's a novice modeler, but I can't see any problems for him building this kit, and I know he's going to love it because he absolutely loves the subject matter, as do I. And you never know, I might even go and get another one for myself, and we'll have both of them, either the TE20 or the FF30. But either or, go out, buy one, give it a go. I can't see you regretting it. Anyway, if you've got any questions or comments, feel free to put them down below. I always take the time to read and answer them, and I'm very grateful for anyone that takes the time to ask me a question. you'll get a response, no problem at all. If you like what I'm doing and how I do it, you know, please consider hitting the like button, hit the notification bell for when I put the next video up. Much appreciated. If not, no problem. I'm really enjoying doing these sort of videos. I'll keep throwing them up for anyone that wants to watch. So until next time, guys, stay safe, happy modeling, and take care.